Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. You are listening to Holding Down the Fort with Alejandro Soto. Sorry I'm late, people. Technical difficulties. No, let me correct that. User error. I didn't set the settings right, and the first time that Regina and I sat down to record, it recorded me twice. So we got together again this morning and hashed it out one more time and got a really good episode together for you guys here today. It's going to be, let's see, I'm putting this up as soon as I get this intro done. So the longer I talk, the longer it's going to take, but that's okay. Um, it's Saturday, January 27th, 2024. Really feeling like we're in the future. And it's all right. It's all right here in the future. It could be better, but it could be worse. You know, I've had some better futures. I've had some worse futures as far as they go. This one's kind of middle of the road future. You know, nice and comfortable, not too hot, not too cold. A goldy future, if you want to call it that. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Before we get into the episode, let's see. The next Ecstatic dance is Sunday, February 4th. This will be out before that. And the Deep Winter Dance is going down Saturday, December 10th, or February 10th. Saturday, February 10th, Deep Winter Dance. And then in March, Friday, March 22nd, we've got Blossom Bash at the Garden. Going to be a lot of fun. So come out and enjoy some good old music and dancing and wiggling and shaking and all that stuff that they don't want you to do. Come do that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see. Anything else I need to say before we get into the show? I don't think so. I think that's pretty much it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this conversation I had with Regina Leffers. All right, take two with Regina. I like to be full disclosure, so for the audience's information, the first time we sat down and recorded, uh, it's safest to assume that it was user error. I have a couple theories of how I messed it up, but the audio was unusable from our first conversation. So you're letting me come back and do round two. So thanks, Regina.
I am really excited to do number two. So
Yeah.
here we go.
Heck yeah. Let's jump right in. You wrote a book, My Darling, Memoirs of a Buddha Girl. That's the main topic, main thing we're gonna get into. So, do you just want to take it away and open up how the book came about and what it kind of goes through?
Sure. So the way it began was when I was meditating or walking by myself or just coming to the surface from sleep. I heard sentences in my head as if this were already written. And the sentences, the topic scared me because it required me to be really honest about my father's behavior toward me when I was a little kid. And so I shied away from it for a little while, but the sentences still came up. And my friend Judith Nastali was here one day, and she said, I'm always really glad to hear about your healing process because every time I hear it, I heal a little bit more myself. And I just said to her, well, would it help if it were written down? And she said, yes, it would. So I felt like, regardless of how scared I was to write honestly, um, I would just go ahead and do it.
Uh-huh.
Because I don't think those sentences were going to be leaving me
Mm,
either. They just kept coming up.
mm-hmm.
So, what I would do, Alex, is, I'm sorry, Alejandro, is that I would sit down at the computer, and if the words were there, I would write and sort of like take dictation
Mm-hmm.
almost.
Mm-hmm.
That was the feeling. And if the words weren't there, I would get up and do something else. So the entire book was written um, in that way. If the words were there, I wrote. And I do feel like it was beneficial for me to write. And I think it was beneficial it will be beneficial for anybody who wants to read it
Mm-hmm.
too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely you yeah, just wrote honestly about your experience. And that's the kind of stuff that I connect with most. Like and I think young people have and this has to do with like just cultural things, so maybe it's not this is a blanket statement, but it seems like young people have real these days have a real good ability to discern like when what's honest from like what's not, like whether or not that is utilized. I don't know, but like just because we've like been dished so much information like through the internet and like have had to take everything worth a grain of salt, like I think young people are more skeptical these days. And I think that when something is like honestly written, it like stands out. And yeah, your book definitely stood out as an honest piece of writing, which is always a breath of fresh air.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you. Yeah, so another difference from the first time, we never talked about that the
Hmm.
first time. And so maybe we never talked about anything I was afraid to talk about.
Well, look at that. That's funny.
Well, even openly admitting that my father was not good to me. In fact, he was brutal. And it wasn't, I want to say too that he was also diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic.
Mm.
And that was,
Hmm.
that happened when I was about in fifth grade. He was
Oh, okay.
diagnosed and put on, he took medicine then, but he would stop taking the medicine periodically
Mm-hmm.
and then would go right back into very brutal behavior. He didn't behave that way toward all of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, although since I wrote this book, and I think some of my siblings read it, not all of them, but some of them did, and they said the ones who did told me that the same thing happened to them. So it made all of us, the ones who this happened to, feel like we were the only ones
Mm. Hmm.
because they were unaware that it happened to me as well.
Mm.
So it has been, I think, healing or a beginning of healing
Mm-hmm.
in my own family.
Mm.
Um, and according to Judith, it helps other people heal as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I agree with that. And it's it's interesting how the more I listen to people and the more people are like sharing their stories, like what you experienced is unfortunately a lot more common than pretty much everybody thinks. Maybe from like a set aside like social workers and police officers and firefighters who are like getting those who are answering those domestic violence calls. Um, but there is as well to that experience, as you said, an isolating aspect to it a lot of the time. So to step forward and or maybe just like be open to those thoughts or the words that were arising in your brain when you were in meditation or waking up in the morning or in the afternoon if you had a really good nap. Like and being open to that is allowing for your healing and then like the healing of others, at least in like easing their feelings of isolation and loneliness that were created by that experience.
That's a really good thing to to think about. That it's not something that occurred to me before.
Mm.
That people who read this um, would not feel isolated and lonely by their own experience anymore
Mm-hmm.
because it's happened to other people. Yeah, that didn't
Mm-hmm.
occur to me.
Hmm.
So,
That's
yeah,
that's always
thanks.
been like the big thing for me with music is like when I felt like, oh, I'm the only one that feels this way, and someone sings some words or like plays a melody that echoes that feeling, it like was like, oh, even if the person was dead, like listening to like John Lennon
Yeah.
while
Oh,
I was
yes.
walking home from high school in my Chuck Taylors in the snow and listening to angsty John Lennon
Yeah.
scream into a microphone, I felt little angsty me felt like, okay, at least that dead guy that felt like this before he kicked the bucket, and like that helped me soldier on and get home when I should have worn better shoes. Um, and so that's always been like pretty pretty obvious to me, almost as like one of the big values of art, at least in the way that I take it in and have experienced it, is that like, okay, this is something that like transcends time and physical space so that we can connect with other humans. And I think you did that with the book, which is
Thank
really
you.
cool. I mean, it's like another one of those signs that, okay, yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, did it always feel like you were doing that like dictation thing, or was there any time that you had to like sit down and like get the work done, or was it like just an easy, smooth flowing thing?
It was an easy, smooth flowing thing.
Hmm.
Which surprised me because I've written a number of books um, through the years. And I'm 75 years old, and there's been a lot of that in my history,
Hmm.
and a lot of sitting down and getting the work done. And this is the first thing I've written that really was not work.
Hmm.
It was simply listening to what was being spoken and writing it down. Um, One of my friends, I think you know her, Ellen Sauer.
Mm-mm.
No? Well, she read the whole book through and gave me a couple of edits that she would do, and that's it. So it
Hmm.
didn't even require rewriting, which every book I've ever written, normally I would write about 5 times more
Mm-hmm.
than
Mm-hmm.
is required, and the editing was then to pull out everything that wasn't necessary. And this one just simply is printed as it came out, nearly.
Why do you think that is?
That's a really good question, and I'm going to answer it, even though this one scares me a little bit too. And it's probably because, no, I'm not going to say why I'm scared. I'm going to say that I'm scared speaking about this because I don't know how many of us experience life from the witness perspective, understanding that we are bodies walking around,
Mm-hmm.
and that a lot of it is personal.
Mm-hmm.
And if we take one step back, and not back exactly, it might feel that way, but one step into a larger part of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
That and it's that part that actually can witness life, can witness someone saying something to us that doesn't feel good, and simply understand that that person is speaking from their personal experience and self, and that it really has nothing to do with us. It that is the bigger part of us that
Mm-hmm.
we can step back into. I know you and I both meditate, and I've meditated every day, with a couple of exceptions, for 45 years. And that practice has developed this witness aspect of myself.
Mm-hmm.
You have felt that. You feel that.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, if we look at life today, we see a lot of volleying back and forth with with the idea that somebody else's perspective is simply wrong,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
worse than
Mm-hmm.
wrong. And there's a lot of turning the other person into an enemy because they hold a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a lot of curiosity about why, which would be really valuable to know. And there's not a lot of the feeling that I really want to know why.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, there's a lot of just cutting the other person off, throwing them away, in the sense that, well, they have a perspective that is so awful that they're just not even worthy of my attention or listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's mostly it's political right now, and mostly it's hard to see that there's any bridge that's even possible. Do you feel that, Alejandro?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
And so being able to develop through meditation, or by whatever means you can, the ability to step back into a larger aspect of self that can witness the world and understand, because the witness, the larger self, does understand that that person is simply speaking from his own experience and it is not personal to us at all.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Does that
Hmm.
communicate?
Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking of something that Ram Dass said. He talked about living on two planes of consciousness simultaneously, or uh, at least two. He said start with two. And I haven't gotten past two. I think it was like 2018, 2019. I like heard him talk about that in a couple lectures. Like listening to Ram Dass lectures has been really wild because they were all recorded in like the 70s, 80s, and
Yeah.
90s, and like I've been digging into him for like 8 or 9 years now, and it's wild how like there seems to be like a flow like to the what stands out to me, or like what the YouTube algorithm is delivering to me, because like at certain times I will hear certain topics, like certain speaking points in like different lectures, and then it'll be like a year or two and I like I haven't heard him talk about this like multiple planes of consciousness thing in listening to his lectures in like a couple of years, but it was like living on like in the head consciousness and the heart consciousness
Yeah.
simultaneously. And I
Yeah.
think that is like stepping into that broader, or at least a more expansive and vast state of being. And like I think what before I started working on that at Ram Dass's Calling and Behest from 1973, it was like bouncing back and forth between the two, and sometimes like pa 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 pa, pa like rapid like fire. Like I
Yeah.
might have thought I was like in the head and heart simultaneously, but it was like just flipping back and forth, and so it's like creating like internal like spiritual emotional whiplash is like what most of us are just living with, and I think that like and it's stressful. Like it's not it's like gets you into the, I think it's the sympathetic nervous system is the like fight flight system. It's like the parasympathetic is the like rest digest like sleep mode, the good one that like we want to be in but barely ever are in modern society. But like to be able to hold multiple things at once, like you were talking about, like when someone says something like that you don't like. I mean, I'll quote Ram Dass again because I'm still working on this, but it's like I remember him saying, when someone speaks good of you, take it with ah so. When someone speaks bad of you, take it with ah so. When you win $1 million, ah so. You lose it all and go bankrupt, ah so. Like that ability that I still have much work to do on attaining, I think starts with that ability to hold like both sides of the duality that we experience being in the meat suit, like to be able to see both of those things, to be able to see like, okay, this person is different from me and holds different ideas about what should be done with our tax dollars, or like whatever politics are about. I don't know. I don't know what it's really about, if I'm honest. I don't know if anyone does these days. But like to be able to see, okay, we have different ideas about what should be done with our tax dollars, but I bet we both like something similar. Maybe we like the same sports team, or like we have the same favorite food, and so we like to be able to hold that idea and like that awareness when engaging with a person that has different ideas, or like is presenting themselves in the world in a way that confuses us to be able to remember, wait, they're a human too, and they eat, sleep, and poop just like me. So maybe like I should let like give them some slack and like not give myself like not put myself up on such a high horse. At least that's what younger me needed to hear. But is that kind of what you're talking about, like that widening?
It's a perfect restatement. Exactly, yes. That widening is the when the head and heart think together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So is that like where what state you were in while writing the book? Then
That's
is that?
that's it. Yeah.
Hmm.
It all came from the larger mind that includes both head and heart.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. Cool.
It's an experience that um, has been a high point in my entire life. The
Hmm.
experience of writing that book, my darling. It During the writing, I was being called my darling by the voice that I listened to and wrote, and I was conscious that um, I was also calling every reader my darling as they read it, as they will read it, or
Mm-hmm.
when they
Mm-hmm.
read it. Yeah, so it was an ecstatic experience to write from that space.
Hmm. Hmm. That's interesting. Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now that it's like written, what's the experience of like the book and of the subject matter to you now? Because so as I see it, there's and as I took it, there are two kind of like large storylines that stick out. There's the experiences in your childhood with being abused by your father, and then there's the experience of going to 40 years, 40 days,
40 years of
40
Zen.
years. Jesus was 40 days. That's a good fast. 40 years of Zen where you did the work to like heal the injury in your brain that
Yes.
was blocking the alpha waves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, and maybe before you answer this question, you can talk about those two things in the book. But I'm wondering now that the book is written and you've gone through this process of being in that head and heart space and digesting these experiences you've had in your life, like what are those things to you now?
Okay, so the other main thing in this book is that I also feel love in every cell of my body.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty important.
And it's really it's really what has given me the courage to to speak the truth. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would have been able to go backwards in time and go through um, those things again.
Mm-hmm.
And and the other thing is that I worked with a hypnotist
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because of something that came to me in meditation. In meditation, I was shown like a mini movie that if I would go into the experience, one of the dominant experiences that um, set my own take on who I am and what my self-worth was. Um, if I would go into the experience with a hypnotist, that I would be able to turn it around, like inside out, and take away something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
In essence, be able to understand in the moment of that childhood experience that what my dad did had nothing to do with me, that it was
Mm-hmm.
about him and um, his take on who he was, and about his illness too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I could come out of the experience with that understanding and change my takeaway. It no longer affected my self-worth. So it was really key um, to get that vision and meditation and then to act on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Because yeah, I was working your work with the hypnotist that kind of started you on the path to like go out to 40 years of Zen, right?
well,
Is that
actually,
right?
40 years of Zen came first.
Oh,
So
okay.
I went there.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay,
went
yeah.
there about maybe 7, 8 years ago.
Okay.
And I went because I was unable to forgive my father. Even though I meditated
Mm-hmm.
every
Mm-hmm.
day, and even though I've journaled about it a zillion times, and even though I've worked on it so hard that I came to a place a million times where I felt like I reached forgiveness. Even though all of that, I was unable to forgive Dad in a way that really stuck. The
Mm-hmm.
pain would always come back up
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and resurface. And so, because of that, I booked myself into 40 years of Zen, which is working with a neuroscientist and biofeedback for an entire week. They are out in Seattle. And so I wanted to find out why, with all of the background in meditation and deep work that I've done, why couldn't I forgive my father? And they did a mind map of my brain on the first day and discovered that I had an injury in my prefrontal cortex, right side, that had fingers that extended into all parts of my brain. And Alejandro, that that injury prevented an alpha brainwave from even occurring in my brain. So all the other brain waves were intact.
Mm-hmm.
The one we function from the most is beta. Then there's at different frequencies, there's alpha, theta, delta is sleep, and gamma. And all of those brainwaves were intact, but not alpha. And here's the twist. Alpha is the only brainwave in which forgiveness and gratitude happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was working with a brain that could not achieve forgiveness or gratitude. Uh, During that time, so then the neuroscientist um, put together a computer program for me to work with every morning. And I was set up with EEG stuff all over my head,
Mm-hmm.
sticky stuff, and
Did you have to shave your
wires.
head?
Yeah,
Did you have to?
no,
Oh,
no,
that's good.
they were able to attach, and earphones, and that kind of thing. I was asked that then on a computer screen was my brain, and the injured parts were all in red, shown in red. And I was instructed to just watch the computer screen. That's all. I didn't I was not to do anything but observe. And I watched my brain do the task of turning red area to green, and then it would get a very my brain would get a very brief moment of sublime music. I watched my brain work for that music, and all week the task was set harder and harder, and every day my brain worked to turn red to green so that it could have that music, and by the end it was completely healed. So the my brain was able to start producing alpha brainwaves. We also, at 40 years of Zen, you're in a pod for an hour and a half to 2 hours in the morning and afternoon as well.
Mhm.
In addition to the work that I was doing with the computer first each day. Then it followed with a couple of hours of meditation and biofeedback session in these pods. Okay. And after the session, we could come out and see on a computer screen what brain waves had been produced during the session. The biofeedback was set for alpha because they wanted to stimulate forgiveness and gratitude and enhance that in our lives. So I was able to see every day. The first day, there was no alpha showing up at all. But every session, there was a little more and more alpha. By the end of the week, my brain was producing alpha brainwave.
Hmm.
So, and since then, yes, forgiveness has been complete. Gratitude has been so complete for life as it's been given to me so far. It's been so complete, that gratitude, that I'm grateful for everything that happened because it all produced the life I live now, which is feeling love in every cell of my body. And, you know, that that's not that's not a small thing.
No,
It's
no.
pretty it means that my life, the way I live my life now, I feel an ecstatic experience just being alive. A
Hmm.
lot.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's really cool. That is a big part of it. Yeah.
The other thing I really want to say is that I've thought,
Uh-huh.
and I don't think we talked about this last time, but we might have. I realized that when people read My Darling, it's an intimate experience, and it takes a person into their own honesty about their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
And um, and that intimate experience is not something that makes them want to share it on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
social media or any place really, because it becomes an intimate relationship. And so this podcast helps people know that it's out there
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
available, because they're probably not going to know any other way.
That's that
Excuse
is one
me.
of my goals with the show is to kind of, I mean, just create a platform for my friends to talk about their stuff. So yeah, go for it. And yeah, well, thank you for also giving me the opportunity to do that. It's pretty sweet. Because yeah, it is like we did talk about that a little bit last time, but I you said something that struck me anew just now about like the honesty aspect, like the aspect of you honestly writing and expressing yourself and telling your story, like cultivates that intimate feeling. And then that, like, and I think you said this, it like opens a person up to their own, like, be honest with their own self. Like, oh, this person, like, she's able to write an entire book about these experiences in her life. Well, then at least I can, like, well, I can probably look at mine, like the stuff I've been sweeping under the rug, like, and I think that's a super valuable thing, like just showing that, I mean, yeah, you're 75 years down the path and you're doing pretty good. And so that's a good thing to see as a person who's 29 years down the path and like has done a lot of work, has a lot yet to do, and wants to keep on trucking. Like, yeah, it's good to hear that, and to have, like, I mean, in Buddhism, it's those who are further along the path are. It's like those are one of the groups of people that you pay homage to, or like the teachers and those who are further along. And like, to me in this moment and in this context, you are definitely one of those people who's further along the path and are like holding a candle way up there, like you follow the candle. It might get dark in that cave sometimes, but don't worry. Like, you can find your way out. You got yourself in, you can find your way out. And so I think that's really good. um and is going to be of like great value to people who do check out the book, which I recommend. I did read it. It is very good. So yeah, thank you for giving me a copy, by the way. That was very nice, very kind of you.
Thank you, Alejandro.
Hmm.
I I want to get back to the um, alpha brainwave level,
Hmm.
if we
Hmm.
can, for just a
Yeah.
minute, because if there are people who listen to this who realize that they have a hard time forgiving and and maybe have a hard time feeling grateful, it 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 does, let's see, require a person to be honest with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a lot of years to be honest with myself. So so if a person who's 29 or 20 or whatever age can really look deeply and figure out if they're able to forgive
Mm-hmm.
for real, like to never feel that pain again. That's forgiving for real. Um, there's a way that you can start to develop your alpha brainwave level. And it can be as simple as listening to binaural beats. You have to wear headphones or earbuds to listen to the binaural beats. But there are binaural beats that are tuned to alpha brainwave level and will help you
Mm-hmm.
develop that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to make sure that people know that if they realize they're not able to feel forgiveness and they want to develop that, there's a way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty easily accessible.
Oh yeah, they're all over YouTube
Yeah.
and Spotify. I've got like a 14-hour playlist of like solfeggio frequency tracks. It's just called Solfeggio Sleep. It's
Uh-huh.
like my sleeping playlist. I don't play it as much anymore, but it's got like some of those, yeah, like binaural beats and stuff like that. Like just a lot of Tibetan singing bowls and rain sounds. But yeah, yeah, I was wondering if there's like anything that people listening who don't have the access or means to go to Seattle for a week with a neuroscientist, or if there's anything they can do. And I mean, anybody listening to this is listening on some type of technological device connected to the internet, so they can get on YouTube and check some of that stuff out. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like 8-hour videos of Yeah, binaural beats, alpha waves, gamma, all the different ones that you mentioned earlier. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if anybody has not heard of this stuff, it's out there, just a couple clicks away. But I think like also a part of that is that like a lot of it is on you, right? Like, yeah, there are tools out there and there's people that can help you, and like we definitely need people who can help us, but like there's like you did it. You did that. You like
Okay.
what like yeah, what about
Yeah.
that aspect of it?
Yeah. So that's a really good thing to bring up because what lots of us don't realize is that if we refuse to forgive, that hurts us.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Mm-hmm.
it creates problems internally.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
it shuts doors inside of us that otherwise could be opened. But forgiving someone else, it somebody said to me, "What if they're already dead? Is it still something I should forgive?" And yes, because just like when someone else says something hurtful toward us, that doesn't really have anything to do with us. That's coming from their own, the workings of the electricity in their brains. And it's their projection or their piece of life. But it doesn't have anything to do with us.
Mm-hmm.
And forgiveness, for us to forgive someone else, um, that also has nothing to do with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It simply cleans up, um, uh, a dirty spot inside of us. It's
Mm-hmm.
something that
Mm-hmm.
causes us pain. And when we really forgive, that pain goes. It's no longer there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like wiping a smudge off the window, and then like the light can get in.
Yeah,
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 yeah, into your brain.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But yeah, I was thinking about that too, of how like, yeah, forgiveness is something you do for yourself, like, and it can be a like totally internal thing, and like what you were saying about forgiving a dead person made like brought back to mind how I connect with the music of dead people, like and how many of like we still listen to Mozart and Bach, like the words of Shakespeare are still performed, like it's pretty clear that like human consciousness is not or is able to extend beyond the confines of our meat suit, like, and so why is it not possible to like from the meat suit extend our consciousness like past those like temporal and physical boundaries to clean up the windows of our mind, like make yeah, that makes sense to me at least, yeah.
To me too.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not loco. That's really cool. And it blows my mind that, like, so it was the right brain that had that injury, but that's like the creativity side of the brain. And, like, you paint, you've written all these books, like, clearly like you had like your creativity wasn't disabled, like maybe hindered to, like maybe there were some roadblocks or like some hurdles that you had to work around, but like you didn't not create, like you still were like paint, like I mean there's like evidence of that within eyeshot, like like in every direction from where I'm sitting. And so like yeah, what Yeah, what about that?
So this is I think what I figured out is that my practice of daily meditation, well, what I found out at 40 years of Zen,
Mm-hmm.
at the very last meditation session, biofeedback session, they asked me if I wanted to have biofeedback on alpha or on one of the other brainwaves. And I decided to ask for feedback, biofeedback on gamma, because I wanted to see if meditation had developed that more deeply in me. It's the deepest possible that we know of. And the biofeedback would also tell me if the right and left side of the brain were talking to each other and working together. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And what I discovered, so if the right, when the two sides of the brain were speaking to each other, there would be a bong sound. Bong, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when gamma waves were present in my brain, there would be a wave sound.
Mm-hmm.
What I discovered is that the bong sound was continuous. It was just bong, 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 bong. The two sides of my brain worked together constantly, and I also heard constant waves. So the gamma brainwave is very developed in my brain. And what I think, so I went, once that session was done and we looked at the computer screen, and I asked the others how was the communication between the right and left side of the brain,
Mm-hmm.
and they had rare instances of that bong sound.
Mm-hmm.
And and that was true of the gamma waves too. So I'm thinking that the practice of daily meditation developed skills in my brain that allowed me to function like a normal person. When I got there and they found the injury, they expected me to have no short-term memory and no ability to focus. So I think that the meditation practice helped me function more normally in both of those,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, because of both of those.
That's that's awesome. So I'm going to go out on a limb here, and before I do, I just want to say that I don't know anything about anything. So don't trust a word I say. But there's with young people, there's so much like ADD, ADHD stuff going on. Like kids can't focus, so they're getting put on Ritalin and whatever the focus drug is nowadays. That gets whatever amphetamine, whatever meth derivative that is being pushed by big pharma, and I I, I have for like since I don't want to do that. Like that's not my thing. I decided like a long time ago, like I didn't want to get involved in like the Western medicine game. Like it's expensive. I'm an artsy, creative fucker. I don't got a lot of money. Like definitely not money to blow on pills or health insurance. So I was like, well, I want to figure out how to do this on my own. And whether like I got into like I mean I got into yoga because I hurt my back. I got into meditation because it was like, well, that's just what you do at the end of yoga, at the end of a yoga class. But like now, I think it was like about almost a decade ago that I like yeah injured my back being dumb at a bouncy house. So again, don't listen to a word I say, people. I'm an idiot. But like now almost a decade later of doing a yoga practice and like maybe 5 years of like a more serious air quotes serious meditation practice, like without having a prescription for ADHD medication, my focus is like monumentally better than it was when I was like in high school. I mean, I'm also like doing things that I'm interested in, so I think that's a big part of it. Like, but I think, like, I mean, what I'm hearing you say is that through a regular meditation practice, in spite of a like legitimate physical brain injury, you've been able to live a life of that's based on activities that require pretty intense and prolonged focus.
Truly. Yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
and you weren't taking Ritalin or whatever amphetamines were, and like also no judgment on people who like need those things. Like I'm much less hardlined about that. Like if people need medication to like get through whatever they're going through and it's benefiting them, then it's benefiting them, and that's great. But like I think a lot of times people are taping their crutches to their arms and thinking that they're getting around real well when really they've duct taped crutches to their arms, and are being sold them. They're on a subscription purchase for these taped arm crutches from big pharma, and it angers me. But that's not the
I
rant I
could
want.
tell.
But but you weren't taking, and maybe were you taking any like focus medications? Like, did you ever do that thing in
No,
your life?
no, but this happened so long ago. I was 19 when the
Mm-hmm.
injury happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started meditating when I was 31 years
Okay.
old, the year that I turned 31.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I knew that my short-term memory wasn't the greatest. I didn't know why.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I had to um, work hard to make myself focus. And I didn't know why. But I also, it was so long ago, um, there was no talk. No, I had no idea that there were drugs that would help,
Uh-huh.
if
Uh-huh.
it even would have. But yeah, I guess it's the meditation that made a difference almost immediately. So
Mm-hmm.
I noticed during my 20s, I didn't, that's when I had little kids, and I didn't start to recognize memory issues until I started college, which was when I turned 30. I enrolled in
Okay.
college
Hmm.
for the first time. And
Hmm.
that's when I started to notice that, and also focus was required.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, and the meditation is what I noticed helped.
Hmm. Hmm. That's cool.
Yeah.
When was the first time you meditated? Do you remember?
Yes, I went to so back in the day, there was something called the Transformational Center, and it was on Broadway, upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
directly across the street from where the food co-op was at that
Mm.
time.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
You know where
I
that
don't know where that is, but I have heard stories of back in the day when the
back in
co-op
the
was on
day.
Broadway.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the Transformational Center, a friend invited me to a meditation class. And
Cool.
so I went, and it was the first time I was introduced to meditation. And just I liked it. I liked it. It made
Hmm.
me feel calm. And I'm a person like you who has just a lot of energy. And meditation, one of the things I noticed is that meditation helped me not harness that energy, but more keep it on a path to the things that I was interested in.
Yeah, put some reins on that
Yeah.
bucking horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's really neat. Can I tell you about the first time I
Yeah, I
meditated?
want to
So this is
know.
a
I
whole,
want
this
to
is one
know.
of my favorite stories. So I was in a band in high school. We were called Yet to Be Mute. You can still find a couple of our songs on YouTube. Um, and we had this fellow friend of the band. He was like our first manager. He like started booking us. He was like the first guy that started booking us shows. Sam is this crazy ginger headed guy from Wisconsin, from Homeland, Wisconsin. And we had band practice one day. We were practicing in our drummer's basement, no windows. It was like, so we would lose track of time in there. It was not healthy. But one day we got together for practice, and Sam comes downstairs like, "Okay, guys, today before practice, we're gonna meditate." And we're all like, okay, sure. Like, Sam's not gonna let up on this until we all sit in a circle and meditate. By this time, we figured out it was just easier to go along with what he said. This one, we were like, well, this isn't gonna do any harm. So he has a sit down in a circle. He turns the lights off so it gets completely pitch dark, and he puts on Stairway to Heaven. And we sat down in a circle, me and my band, and we listened to Stairway to Heaven in complete darkness until it ended. And then we had band practice. And like, I honestly don't remember the band practice, if we like jammed, if it was good, or if we sucked. But me and my drummer both had these crazy visualization, like mental hallucination type experiences, like me of being a bird, like an eagle flying on the plains, like across the plains of North America, of like the Great West, and like sailing over mountains, while Stairway to Heaven is playing. Imagine Led Zeppelin in your head here.
Yeah.
And like he had the experience of being a fish swimming underwater and being in the ocean. And I don't think I meditated for like several years after that. It was the only time we ever did that. And Sam was so gung ho. He's like, we're going to meditate before every practice. It's going to get us into the mindset together. Then we're going to make music. It's the only time we ever did it. But I remember that clearly was the first time I
What
ever
a fun
meditated.
one.
Yeah, yeah. So shout out to Sam Tompton, ginger guy from Homeland, Wisconsin. Uh, he was crazy. That dude is cool. But I mean, it's so neat to hear that, like, yeah, like you were able to, like, I mean, get the reins on the horse by something that was like endogenous. You went inside to find the thing that you needed to, I don't know about cope, but like to carry on in spite of the roadblocks that were set in front of you.
That's a great way to say it. It really is.
And like so many people are reaching externally. What's the other word there? Is it, it's not, there's endogenous and then like I don't know the other word. I'm not a scientist. Like I said, I don't know nothing about nothing. But like so many people, and I'm guilty of this very often, like reach externally for things
Pick up your
to.
phone and turn on
Oh
Facebook.
yeah, oh yeah.
There it is.
I was watching Seth Meyers talk about Donald Trump before
Yeah.
I came over here. I knew while I was like, and it's this thing. So in the practice of Buddhism, there's this thing like the practice of renunciation, which I don't like. I'll be honest, but I'm working on it because I can see the value in it. But like in one of the sutras, there's this thing about like if you can't like renounce and abstain from doing the things that bring you harm, and then it like goes through like, okay, well, if you can't stop from doing it, just like at least like while you were doing the harmful thing, renounce that action. While you were watching yourself do this thing that you know is going to continue your suffering, renounce the action. While you were doing the, or like before you do the action, while you're doing the action, and after you do the action, renounce it and understand that it is going to bring about your suffering. And like I'm now noticing while I turn and I laugh, it's jovial, it's fun, it entertains me. But like while I'm clicking through on YouTube and I could see, okay, there's music that I want to listen to that'll put me in a good headspace. And I watch myself click over to Seth Meyers talk about Donald Trump and whatever bullshit he's doing and what in the world he lives in. Like, while I'm watching it, I'm renouncing it. I know that this is going to continue my suffering, and then I get up and the video ends, and I'm like, well, I know I just wasted 10 minutes that I could have spent like, and I still got here on time. Like, it's not creating a monumental amount of suffering, but there's a little bit of suffering there. It's like, and like meditating has helped me to like have some awareness on that thing of like reaching externally for something to like pacify the mind or like give me a laugh or like I don't know, distract me from something for a minute. Or and this is a very like low level, low lying example of like, you know, watching late night late night late night Seth Meyers joke about the political scene that is so easy to joke about. But like it's so cool to hear you talk about the experience of going in, like finding the internal tools to like just get through it out here.
Right.
Like it's a wild time we find ourselves in, and like to maintain gratitude while holding that perspective, we got it really good. But like also there's a lot to of work to do. And like in the gratitude thing, like a big issue we have in the states right now is like the drug epidemic. Like people like on the streets, like addicted to opiates, and like the fentanyl is a big issue. There's a newer one called trank that is like causing people's limbs to fall off. It's like a
Oh my
big problem in
God.
Philadelphia. It causes like it like creates conditions in a person's body, like when they inject it, that it like creates perfect conditions for a flesh-eating virus
Oh
to
my
start growing,
gosh.
developing, and like it's pretty much like the only way to treat that condition is amputation. Like, and most of the people on the streets who are addicted to drugs are unable to afford that type of medical care. It's like 40 grand to get a limb hacked off and not bleed out. And so, thinking about what you're talking about with the brain waves that were absent from your mind, like I wonder how many people are walking around, and like so many of these people, pretty much all of them have had traumatic experiences occur, whether that led them into the terrible situations they find themselves in or not. Many times they have like trauma in their history. And so like hearing you talk about the brain waves that prevented you from feeling like gratitude or like, you know, love for yourself, like like if I wonder if, you know, if someone could experience, you know, could spend a week working on their brain to create these new brain waves, would they then be as likely to go searching for illegal drugs or legal drugs to dull the pain that they are experiencing on a very regular basis, be it physical or emotional? Like, and so I hope that maybe if someone out there connects and like, or like hears this and is going through that, or like knows someone going through that, like there's something that you can do that doesn't cost 40 grand that might, might not cure. I don't know nothing about nothing. This is not medical advice, but like I'm talking to someone who's sitting right in front of me who is 75 years old and went through this rough experience early in life, and through sitting down and shutting up, and it's a lot, meditation's a lot more than that, but like through sitting down and just like observing your breath, you're creating, you're fostering an environment for your brain to function more healthily. Like almost, it's like a real hardcore like rebellion. Like you're like doing like the silent warrior fight out here. Like and so I guess what got me on this was like that gratitude mindset, like to, but also what we were talking about earlier of holding both sides of the duality. Like there's, like we have it really good, but there's a lot of work to do. And so in the name of gratitude, thank you for sharing your story. And like I hope someone hears, then my hope is that someone hears this and can like connect with that, and maybe they're 29, 30 and are realizing maybe I'm 29 going on 30 and realizing that I got like, I want to develop my focus, and like I don't have health insurance, but I do have 10, 15, 20 minutes in the morning that I can sit down and just focus on my breath and turn the rest of it off. And that's valuable,
That's
right?
valuable. It is. It is.
Oh, good. Because I do that somewhat regularly,
And
pretty
if
regularly.
somebody needs guidance, there are YouTube. All you have to do is type in meditation,
Hmm.
and there are 7 billion YouTube videos that
Hmm.
would show you how to meditate, lead you through a
Hmm.
meditation. Um, they could go to my website too,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is just reginaleffers.com, and there's a meditation for download there. So
Hmm.
if somebody needs something, some guidance, it's one way to begin.
Hmm.
It helped me when I began. I went to the class, and it was a guided meditation. And so it helped me to listen to guided meditations
Hmm.
until my own larger self took over the guidance
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
began leading me
Hmm.
through meditation.
Yeah, because at first, at least for me, the idea of sitting down for 20 minutes in complete silence, pardon my French, fucking terrified me. Like, after 5 minutes, my legs start hurting. Like, and even still, sometimes it terrifies me. Like, and so, yeah, like, I'll put a link to that meditation that is on your website down in the show notes so people can access that. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up and offering that to people,
Yeah.
and bringing up like the value of a teacher, like, and and I just want to say, like, to anyone listening, teachers are way closer than you think.
Yeah.
Like especially here in Fort Wayne, like just come into the health food shop. Like
That's right.
chances are, if you stop into the health food shop, it maybe not on like a Thursday afternoon at 2:45. It's really dead, but like honestly, but maybe that's the time to stop in, because chances are the only other person in there will be a person who has something that you want to know about, that you need. Like, just in that, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, like
The
about,
health food shop on North Anthony, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. If anyone has listened, they know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But a friend of mine, I was talking to her about like One of my teachers gave me the funny line that she's been throwing at people in her life that are close to her. The line is, "Investigate your life, please. Investigate your life. You need to do this. Investigate your life." And so I threw it at a friend of mine a couple times. The first time, she fired back, which I shot down, and then the second time, when I said to her, "Girl, investigate your life. Do it." She thought for a moment and said, "How do you do that?" And I thought for a moment. So that's a good question. And my response was, "You got to find a teacher." My answer was, "Ask somebody else." Because I don't know nothing about nothing. But yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, the value of like finding someone who has done the work and has walked the path to like show you, okay, this is how you can do it, and like these are some of the tools that you have at your disposal, and then like this is how you use them, and then once you get that under your belt, go do it for yourself. like do your own work. But like, I don't know, if you have a whole, like, you give a toddler a fully loaded toolbox, it's gonna hurt itself. like, that's why you give a baby plastic toys, like plastic tools, toy tools. Um, but like, yeah, that's important. And so that link to that meditation that you're talking about will be in the description below for people to check out. Yeah, yeah, that's really good. Yeah, the value of the teachers. Oh, I'm really grateful for the people I've had. And you're one of those people. The Greenwell Sangha, uh, Judith is one of those people. Like John and Beth Beams are two big people, like two that helped like establish my meditation practice. Like the Greenwell Sangha is where I cut my teeth, where we sat and meditated for 20 minutes. And I wouldn't have, and like just doing that once a month with a group of people, like, was so valuable for me. Like, I didn't do it that much outside of that, but having like that experience and to know that, okay, yeah, my legs will fall asleep, but I can get through it. And I've had other teachers, like, when I wanted to tap out, be like, "Okay, Alejandra, if you want to tap out, you can tap out now." I'm like, uh, no, no, I'm not gonna tap out. No, I'm gonna keep going. Like, kind of just like, who, and that's one of the valuable things about the teachers too, that doesn't come from a YouTube video, is like they get to know you and can deliver what you need when you need it. And so, like, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on YouTube, but like the value of being able to sit down with someone, like even just like this right here, the value of sitting down with someone and having a real conversation is immeasurable. Like, go out and do that. Like, not that anyone's asking for my advice in this realm, but like the best thing I've done is gone out and talked to people who know more about this stuff than I do.
In fact, the Greenwell Sangha is where I met you first time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That was really cool.
yeah, yeah.
Well, we're at over an hour. That's really good. Is Where can people find you? You mentioned your website.
Yeah, My Darling,
Yeah, the book.
the book is available on Amazon.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get to it through my website too, reginaleffers.com. If anybody can't afford it, I would be happy to get a copy to them. So just, you can touch base through my website. So,
Perfect.
and I'll be happy to get a copy to them.
Is there like a contact page on
There
there?
is,
Cool.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very friendly, very kind of you. So yeah, definitely check out this book. It's very good. It's an easy read. I I got through it in like a night, like in two sittings. And I'm not what you would call an avid reader. I'm a gab guy. I'm not a bookworm. So, as can be seen from my chosen method of creative expression in the podcast. So, yeah, links to your website and to that meditation will be in the show notes below. Uh, Anything else you want to put in before we wrap it up?
You're a treasure. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for
Yeah,
being on the show. Like
yeah.
this is what it's all about. Like, yeah, I it's before we recorded, we were talking about like so this was take 2 and like this is the first time that I haven't gotten the episode up on the every other Tuesday. And so it has like re I've re if not, I don't know about reevaluated, but have come up against the commitment I made to release an episode every other Tuesday. That coming up against my commitment to put something out that I I feel good about and I know is worth putting out, and that like does the guest on my show justice. So as I'm sure everyone has been waiting with bated breath since this past Tuesday. I was waiting to do it right and make sure that it was good. So it's neat how like our values and our or maybe not values but priorities and like commitments change as we change. I mean, impermanence is one of the immutable laws of our universe, and so I came up against that in this, well, in the creation of this podcast episode. So like, it's wild. It's wild out here, people. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being on the show. You as well are a very treasured and dear to my heart person. So yeah, this has been great.
Same here.
Love you, my friend.
Love you too,
Let's do
Alejandro.
it again sometime. I'd really enjoy that. Are you writing any more books? What are you up to these days?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll just tell you one thing. So, um, my friends Ellen Sauer and Cheryl Gardner and I are putting together a divine feminine
Oh,
show for the
oh,
Unitarian Church.
the
And it goes
UUC.
up in June and July.
Oh,
So, yeah,
cool.
so we're
Oh,
excitedly working on
nice.
that together.
Oh, like an art show?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet. Are they painters as well? Like, what's the mediums gonna
So
be?
yeah, they're
And is that what you're gonna do? I mean,
yeah,
I know
there are
you as a
more
painter.
more than painters. We're all three of us are creative in a number of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't the listening audience can't see it, but the painting that's right there,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's a woven piece and it has all three of us in it. So
Oh,
Cheryl
cool.
Gardner did the poppies,
Mm.
painted those, and did 100 little clay pieces that are attached to that.
Wow.
And Ellen Sauer did the river
Uh-huh.
and the palm tree,
Cool.
and I did all the other
Neat.
stuff.
Yeah. So like they are like woven
They're
together?
woven. Yeah, it's
Whoa.
called the piece is called Reweaving the Patriarchal Story of Love.
Wow. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So I'm excited about working on that
Wow. So this summer,
this summer.
the the Divine Feminine art exhibit at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation.
Yeah,
Wow.
June and
I'm gonna
July.
June and July. I'm gonna check that out for certain. Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked. Very sweet. Yeah, I'll try get me the information on that when it's coming about, and I'll talk about it on the show. I'll let people know when
Wonderful.
it's coming up in the intros and outros and stuff. Yeah, yeah. Wow, very exciting. There's so much like there's so much cool stuff going on, like in such a close proximity. Like the physical boundaries are like so unimportant to the enjoyment of my life right now, which is so awesome. Like, I'm so grateful for that. Like, there's so, and I just have to like remind myself of that as well. Like, when yeah, there's so much to be grateful for, and there's a lot of work to do. We ain't got it perfect or got it all figured out, but like, the to put energy into the good is the best method I have found to fight the bad. Like, and that's just me. Like,
So
that's my
true.
hippy dippy pacifist self talking out. But like,
Yes, I'm a hippy dippy pacifist.
birds of a feather.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, thanks for being on the show, Regina.
Thanks for having me, Alejandro.
Thanks again for being on the show, Regina. That was a really good one. So nice. We did it twice. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't believe I'm going to put that in the final cut of the episode. But according to the statistics, only 33% of listeners are listening through at least 75% of the episode. So if you've made it this far, you're in like the you're in a minority. You've got a halfway decent attention span. So congratulations. You're doing great. And, all right, so I'm going to close you out with a song from the Debutantes. They just released this album last weekend. It was a week ago today. It dropped. I was at their CD release show at the Clyde Theater that night. It was really, really sweet. Had a lot of Fort Wayne weirdos out and doing their thing, making it a real cool time. So this is River on the Moon by the Debutantes. Take care of yourself. See y'all soon.